Hi everyone, thank you for joining our Wednesday workshop today. In today's workshop, we'll be covering how to create stories for social sharing, also for mobile optimization. Okay, and again, today's topics will cover our issue stories feature. So that includes our article and visual stories. So we'll take a deeper dive into what these stories are and their different functionalities when you are sharing it out on social media. We'll also be jumping into a live demo on how to create and share out these stories. And a little bit of housekeeping, all participants will be muted during the duration of the presentation. If you do have a question, feel free to hit that little Q&A button on your Zoom screen. Please note that we are streaming this live to Facebook and YouTube, and the workshop is currently being recorded. Okay, a little bit about issue stories. So stories is a great way to highlight the best parts of your content. And when you are creating a story, it is optimized for mobile views. So you're creating a great reading experience for mobile. And on the issue platform, you can create as many stories as you want, regardless of what plan you're on. So whether or not you're on our basic plan or part of our paid plan, you will have access to our stories feature. Again, and this is a great way for you to create targeted content based off of certain excerpts in your original document. So if you are interested in getting your content featured on Issuu, please use the hashtag #MyIssueStory when sharing out your post and follow us at Issuu. Okay, and we can see here the different ways you can convert your document into different forms of assets to use in your social media campaign. So on the left-hand side here is the original publication as it appears on Issuu as part of an embed or full screen reader. And from there, you could take that asset and convert it into a GIF, an article story, and a visual story. So instead of having to create all new content, you could just repurpose your existing content and share out as much as you want. And just a fun fact for everyone, more than 60% of the online audience is currently on mobile, and that shouldn't really come as a surprise to most of us. A lot of us are currently probably on our phones or using our phones a lot in our day-to-day life. So now converting your publications to a more mobile-friendly format is more important than ever before. Okay, so we'll take a deep dive into what article stories are for. So article stories are optimized again for mobile screen, and it's a great way for you to take a particular article piece from your original document. So in this document here, it has 100 pages. So maybe the article that I want to extract from this is actually 5 pages of that. Of the original 100 pages, and I want to just dedicate a single story to it, I could go ahead and do so through our article stories feature. So with this feature, you could create, again, as many as you want. It's a great content marketing tool. And if you are selling your publication through Issuu, you could build out a few article stories to use as a teaser for your digital sales publication. And once they kind of read through the article story, and if they're interested, they can always click through the article story to go back to your original document in case they want to publish it. The article story is easily shared out as a link, and it is trackable with an Issuu, which means that you can view how many times it's been viewed in our stats feature as well. So one thing to note, though, is that if you are publishing your document as an unlisted publication, article stories are indexed within our system. So people who you haven't shared the direct link with may be able to find it directly. In here, you could see a screenshot of what the article story looks like within the Issuu platform. So within the specific piece, this publisher was able to create 16 different article stories. And it's a great interest generation tool for you to use to toggle the reader back to your original document. Also, when you create an article story with us, we will create what we call a table of contents under your Issuu publication. So under here, you can see what's inside, and underneath here is a table of contents of all the article stories that have been created from this original publication. This also will have some SEO impact as it is going to be indexed on Google and also on the Issuu platform as well. So let's hop over to visual stories. So visual stories are a way for you to create a video format for any social media platforms that you're currently using. And on the left-hand side here, you could see a rendering of how an Issuu visual story would look like when you are sharing it out. So you can see that compared to article stories where you're extracting maybe a particular article piece, visual stories are very much based on any images that you have in your document that you want to share out that has a lot impact for any of your viewers. So visual stories can be shared out in two ways. So you can share it out as an AMP link. AMP stands for Google Accelerated Mobile Pages, which are optimized for mobile web browsing, and anything that is loading on the AMP link will actually load faster on the mobile phone, or you can actually go ahead and download the visual story as an MP4 file as well. And it's, again, a great way for you to build out a video teaser for your content. If you do have a Instagram following of 10,000 followers or more, you can always also add in a click-through action to swipe up to any specified landing pages of your choice. And again, this visual story will have some SEO impact as it will be indexed on Google. Okay, so again, if you do want to create a story through Issuu and get it featured on our blog, feel free to use the hashtag #MyIssueStory when you're sharing it out, and go ahead and start creating. And if you are interested in signing up for a premium annual account, we do have a promotion for anyone on our basic or story plan. Please use the code Academy30 to get 30% off our premium annual plan. Okay, and here are all the features that are currently available on the premium plan as well on the left-hand side. At the end of the workshop, we will have a post-webinar survey just in case you want to provide us with any other workshop topics that you would like to see us cover in our weekly educational workshops. Okay, so let's get started into our live demo. Okay, so I'm going to start off by heading over to the Issuu Publisher home space. And while I'm on this page as well, I would love to launch a poll just to learn where everyone heard about Issuu and what social media platforms you're currently using in order to share out your content. Okay. So while we're on this step, on the left-hand side, you can see the two different features that I mentioned in our presentation earlier. So we have article stories and visual stories. So if I click onto my left-hand side here, you can see that there is going to be a plus sign for me to click into, and from there I can actually press into it. And this will actually gather in any pages, any spreads, and any assets I have from my latest publication that I have uploaded onto my Issuu account. And from there, all I need to do to create my article story is to select a story that I want to highlight within this piece. So maybe, for example, I want to highlight the specific article on pages 22 and 23. I'm also going to press into pages 9, 6, and 1 as well, because I do want to include the images that are included on that page. And from there, I could go to my editor. So right now our system is going ahead and converting and extracting any of those assets so for you to build out your article story piece. I'm going to exit out of here and also show you a different way to also access that screen as well. So if you want to do so, go into publications again on the left-hand side. This will be above the article story feature. And here you can see that I do have a wide range of publications that I have on my account. And on the right-hand side, you can see that there are a few widgets for me to press into. When I highlight above it, there is an option for me to directly create an article story and a visual story from any of my older publication pieces. So that's another way to get access to the platform again. So I'm going to press into this to build out my article story. And again, choose out the pages I want to have included in the assets of my article story. So again, going to choose pages 1, 2, 3, pages 11 as well, and pages 14, 15, and 16 to build out my article piece. And also probably 28 as well. From there, once you're done, go ahead and press go to editor, and our system will go ahead and extract that piece for you. Right? So on the right-hand side here, you could see that our system actually started extracting the article for me. And so this is actually part of our auto-detected stories feature that will allow you to kind of save time and let the system work for you. And generally, I do recommend that people take a glance over what it looks like. And you can also rearrange the images and the text as well if you want it to be displayed in a certain way. If you like the way it looks, you could preview it here to see what it looks like on the mobile setting and go ahead and publish it. But of course, we're going to go ahead and also learn how to create this story from scratch as well. So I'm going to press this trash can icon, which will remove all the segments that have been extracted for me by the system. So I'll go ahead and press continue. And so everything has been wiped out, and let me go ahead and start building out my article story piece. The first thing you want to do when you are creating your article story is to pick your cover image or your hero image. And this is the image that people will generally see when they click into your article story. So to start out with, I'll press into this image here. And from there, I'm actually able to select my hero image based off of the assets that have been drawn from the pages that I've selected in the previous page. So you could go ahead and zoom in and out or move the picture side to side. And from there, I'll go ahead and press update, right? So now that the picture has been selected, I'll also go ahead and edit my title as well. So for this specific piece, I'll go into the article story to see what the title is. So the title is The Pursuit of Happiness. So I'll go ahead and insert that here. And as you notice, I just double clicked into it and deleted the text in there. So any text boxes that you incorporate in your article story can be edited within this tool as well. Okay, so from there, I'm going to go ahead and start building out my article story. So in order to do so, all I need to do is hover over the paragraph that I want to have included in my article story. And you can see on the left-hand side here that the entire box is highlighting for me in blue. And that indicates to me that it is a section that I could select and add to my article. So when I press into it, you can see on the right-hand side, it is going to go ahead and populate here. And you can see here as well that this is actually supposed to be 2 different paragraphs. So if you do want to go ahead and split that apart, we do have that functionality here for you to do so. So here is where the paragraph should split off. And on the upper side here, you can see that there are a few functionalities for you to press into. We have merge up, which will merge 2 different text paragraphs together. And we do have the split function, which will split apart any text that you have. So if I press split here, you can see that has split apart that paragraph. If I go in here as well, I could go ahead and merge up this paragraph. Okay. And I did forget to add the subtitle, so I'll go ahead and add that in there. And you notice that it does add in at the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and move that specific text piece up. And I'll go ahead and remove this here and make this into a headline. So you can highlight any text that you have, and in this drop-down list here, you could change the type of text style that it is, just so that it may pop out on the page a little bit better. And again, I'm going to go ahead and start building out those article stories that I have here. So adding in this section here, changing it into a subtitle, and then adding in the paragraph, and I'll go ahead and keep building it out. So this again will be changed into a subtitle, and I'm going to merge these 2 paragraphs together. And so as I'm starting to build this out, you can kind of get a sense of how these article stories can be easily built out from just clicking a few buttons. And one thing I'm noticing here is that I should start incorporating images as well in my article story. Generally, I do recommend that you do have a good flow of text to images, just because it is a great way for you to give your reader a break in between any paragraphs that you're incorporating into your article story. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate this image here. Okay, and I'm going to move this particular image up. And one thing to know as well is for any images that you incorporate in your article story, you can always add a caption and credit. So I could go in and edit this. And so any single time you move up this photo now, the caption and the credit will follow along with the text as well. So again, I'm going to go ahead and keep building out my article story. And here you can see that this is a quote. So I'm going to go ahead and add it in. And on the right-hand side, our system wasn't able to detect the arrow keys that were provided here. So what I'm going to do is actually go ahead and remove these symbols here. And in the drop-down list here to change the text style, I'm going to change this to a quote. So you can see that it does pop out a little bit differently compared to the rest of the text. And again, I'm going to go ahead and keep moving this forward. I'm going to exit out of here. Cut this out and then paste it here because I do notice that there is a split here. And if you do want to add in any new segments to your piece that wasn't included in your original article, feel free to input additional text. And you could go into any of your text boxes here as well and edit the text as you would like as well. So if I wanted to, I could remove this last sentence here. Okay, so Vincent asks, is there a replay by designers to see? Thank you. So we do have a recorded version of this workshop. And at the end, I could go ahead and show you where that video lives. So you could rewatch this workshop in case you want to cover or rewatch anything that was covered in today's workshop. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add in that last image as my as the end of my article story, and from there you could go ahead and preview what that looks like on Issuu. So again, so you'll see the hero image, which is the first image that you'll see when you create your article story piece, what the title is, where the original document this article story was created from, and who it is by. And as I scroll down, I'm going to take a look and take note of anything that doesn't look comfortable to read on mobile. So I'm noticing that this first paragraph here is a little lengthy. And just to make it easier for any of my mobile readers to read, I'm going to go ahead and split this apart. And you can see here that it does split apart in here. Again, also go ahead also and split apart this paragraph as well. So sometimes things that read really well on a desktop setting doesn't necessarily translate into a mobile setting. So that's something to keep in mind as you're building out your article story piece. So again, I'll go ahead and split this apart. Looks fine to me. And I'll go ahead and split these apart because I can already tell that they're going to read a little bit long on a mobile phone. Right? So once I'm done seeing how it looks like and I'm comfortable with the way it is, I could go ahead and either save it for me to go back in at another date, or I could go ahead and publish it. So anything that you save within Issuu will actually be saved as a draft. So it says here, my draft has been saved successfully. And when I go into Issuu, This is the publisher home space, and press into article stories and press into drafts on the left-hand side. You can see that the draft is available for me to come back in and add it at a later time. So you don't have to finish your article story in one shot. You can always save it and then go back to it and edit it at a later date. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and publish this document now. All right, so now that this is created, I could go ahead and copy out and share this article story out to my readers. Okay, so this is how it looks like on a desktop setting. Obviously, we will have this vertical scrolling experience to mimic how it looks like on the mobile phone. And underneath here, you can see the different widgets where the reader can easily share out any of the article stories that you built out. And we'll also suggest any article stories that you have built out from the same document as well. And as I scroll through, again, you can see more stories from this publisher and also where the story was created from. Okay. And so now that we're done sharing out article stories, we'll go ahead and visit how to create a visual story from your document. So again, there are two different options. One option is to go directly into the visual story feature and then press into get started here to create my visual story directly from this document. Or I could go into the publication and then go ahead and select the visual story from there and select any images that I want to have included. So for example, as opposed to the article story that we covered before, I'm mainly selecting just the images that I want to have included in here. Okay. So once I'm done selecting everything that I want and all the images, I could go ahead and press create visual story here. So again, all the assets are currently being extracted. And on the left-hand side, you can see all the images that I've selected have been included. And I'll go into a quick overview of the different styles that you can select for the visual story feature. So we have our voice, inspire, and engage templates. So voice is the loudest of the three templates, and that's a great way for you to add in dynamic movement between your images. And if you do have a lot of images that you want to include in your visual story, this is a great template for you to use. And on the last page as well, you can see that we do have a compilation page of all the images included in your document, and we will show it as an issue story and where the original assets were drawn from. And as well, you can see inspire. So inspire, again, is a way for you to inspire any of your readers to maybe perform a certain action or just inspire them to take a certain type of lifestyle. And it is very much a one photo per page type of format. And we'll provide you a text box just to explain more about what each image represents for your story. And on the bottom, you can see that we do have this issue stories page, which is a compilation of all the pages before it. And last but not least, we do have an engage style. So just to highlight, we don't have that last page included in there. And it's very similar to Inspire. With the addition, you can also add in any logo branding that you have on your issue account as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with this style and then press into assets here. If you have any assets that aren't currently included in your original publication, you can always go ahead and press into this plus button here, and you can go in and browse your desktop for any additional images that you want to have included, and they'll be actually added into this media piece here. And in order to start building out your your visual story, all you need to do is grab the image that you have here on the left-hand side and then drop it in. And one thing that I do want to tell you as well is that if you are including in any additional images into your document, just make sure that it has a 9:16 aspect ratio. And this is the best aspect ratio we have found to share out, especially if you're doing some type of Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook stories post. So I could go in and keep dropping in any images that I have. And you can see on the bottom that I have ran out of pages. If this happens to you, don't worry about it. You can always actually add in any additional pages that you want to the visual story. So you can see here, we do have this 2-page button that will actually duplicate the same page that you pressed in on. You can also delete any pages that you have in your visual story here as well. And you can move around pages as you want. So we do have these up and down arrow keys for you to press into. So for our example, I'll go ahead and build out 2 more pages for us to look at. Okay. And while we're here, after selecting all the images, I could go ahead and start editing the text. So in this text box, just go ahead and double click it and then input any text that you want. And if there's any text boxes that you are interested in filling in, you can always go ahead and remove the text from there. And in the final preview setting, you can see that isn't included in the document. So for example, if I look into the preview now, that text box that is here will not appear in the final version of the document. Okay. Text boxes can also be moved around in the stories feature as well. And you can also move around this little logo that is incorporated here. So while you're looking at your logo, if you do want to change it out, you can go ahead and do so by clicking into the image that you have in your assets and then dropping it into that little logo piece there. And once you see that green circle with the plus button inside, go ahead and drop it in. I recommend doing this for all your pages if you're looking to have a more cohesive logo piece. You also have the option of highlighting any text and changing out the font style as well. So once you're done, you could go ahead and preview what that looks like again, and go ahead and create the story once you're done from there. I recommend putting in any title that you want to describe what your article story, visual story is about. And also include a description of anything that describes what your visual story is representing as well. So any words inputted in the description will be indexed and will assist with your SEO. So advantage of inputting a description here is actually that it actually will be able to, it will be indexed within Google, so people may be able to find it organically versus if you post it only in TikTok or Instagram, for example, it will only live in those platforms and it will only be siloed to those platforms. So our system is still going ahead and assembling this particular piece. Oh, and here we go. So I'll go ahead and share this out. And so there are 2 ways for you to share out your content. The first one is through that AMP link, which is easily shared out as a URL for your readers to see. And you can see it rendering through each image. Right. And at the end, you can see the description and also the title as well. We do have these social media platforms for you to integrate with, and just in case you want to share out with them directly. And you can also download your visual story as an MP4 or as individual pages if you want to load them one page at a time on any of your social media accounts as well. So while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and jump into the Q&A just to answer any questions people may have regarding the visual stories. So Allegra Bay asked, my visual stories seem to cut out some of my images. Is there a way to limit photos? So we do compress the photos a bit and cut off the sides of the photo just so that it can have that 9:16 aspect ratio. So if you are looking to incorporate specific images in your document and you want it to work seamlessly within our platform, I do recommend that you size it to a 9:16 aspect ratio, or you have a 1080 by 1920 pixel sizing for it. Allegra also asked, is there a way to have a preview before readers buy so they don't have to go back pages and see the end of my visual story? It says view on issuu.com. Is there a way to put it on my website as well? So one way you can incorporate a visual story on your website directly is to convert it into a GIF. And we do have a specific webinar to convert any MP4s that you have into GIFs, so you can incorporate it in any email campaigns that you have, or even on your website. So Allegra also asked, when people view a magazine, is there a way that we can collect emails and names? So if they view your magazine on Issuu, we currently do not have a lead generation tool for you to collect any emails and names at this time. But I can certainly forward that to our product team for consideration as a potential feature request. All right. So for anyone who is typing in the chat, please put your questions in the Q&A in case you do have any questions for me. So if there isn't any additional questions, I'll go ahead and preview our Help Center up here. So if you press enter Help Center, this is a great resource for you just to learn more about anything related to Issuu and other webinars and tutorials here. You can see that we do have a recorded version of this workshop. So just in case you want to revisit any of the topics that we have covered today, you can press into the Wednesday version of our workshop and watch the recorded YouTube video on how to create and share out any of your social stories. And just to highlight again, if you are interested in learning how to convert your visual story into a GIF file to share out on any of your email campaigns, you can go under our webinars here. And we do have a recorded webinar on embedding your content with MailChimp. So Sharon Ross asked, can you cover the different plans? We want to start a new journal at our university. So I don't have enough time in today's workshop to cover the different plans. We actually do have a upcoming workshop within the next few months that will actually cover what is available on each issue plan. If you are interested in learning more about the different plans today, though, I can forward your request to our sales team so you can learn more about starting your journal at your university. And like Gerbe asked, in my visual story, it has a quick flash of images. Do I need to choose a particular template for it to go slower? So generally, our visual story feature should render through slowly through each and every one of the images. So if you are having that issue, I do recommend that you contact our support team for additional tech support. And I could go ahead and insert their email into this chat here. So the chat support will just be support@issuu.com. Right. Okay, so Sharon Ross, I will forward your information over to our sales team so you can learn more about the different issue plans and which one will fit your needs. All right, so thank you again for joining me for today's workshop. We went 5 minutes over the time, but hopefully everyone gathered some great information today. Unfortunately, our workshop tomorrow is canceled for statistics, but if you are interested in learning it, we are hosting it again next Thursday. So I hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and please go ahead and start publishing